I'm here today in Salt Lake City, Utah. Its airport expansion is prep work for the increasing number of people coming to enjoy the area's natural beauty. It's said that people come for the winters, as they did in 2002 when the city hosted the Winter Olympics, but stay for the summers. Today we're going to explore how our on-site teams are prepping for the cold weather ahead as we get back to work. I'm Terry Danner, and after spending 30 years in the multifamily industry, I believe that our on-site teams are the everyday unsung heroes. They make it look easy to get hard stuff done, and are consistently working to keep our communities safe. Most of the world is getting back to work after quarantine, but our on-site teams never stopped working. That's why I'm on a mission from coast to coast to find the people that are stepping up in difficult times. During this series, we're going to talk about best practices and how teams are adapting to new challenges. I may even get a little dirty along the way. So join me as we learn about the tough stuff that keeps our industry moving and celebrate the people behind it. Let's get back to work. Salt Lake City has a culture deeply rooted in its ancestry and its history in outdoor recreation that has attracted residents for years. Winter is coming, and as its 155,000 apartment residents, sans White Walkers, plan their cold weather adventures, our on-site teams are working with their supplier partners in preparation for the winter ahead. Today we're headed to bridge management company's Monaco Apartments to learn more about what their teams are doing to prepare for the coming cold weather.
Hi, welcome to Monaco. I'm Rachel. I'm the training and marketing coordinator here at Bridge.
Nice to meet you, Rachel. I'm Terry.
Here at Bridge, we own and manage over 100 different properties in over 20 different states.
That's amazing.
With such a diverse portfolio, it's good to know the needs of all of the properties across the board. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Haley. She's our property manager here at Monaco Apartments.
Hi Terry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Haley.
Here at Monaco, we have 247 apartment homes and about 500 residents. So with a colder environment, it is important for us to know how to maintain heat. So we have a fun day planned for you. I'm going to pass you over to our maintenance supervisor, Matthew, and he will take you out for the day.
All right, and winter's coming.
Well, are you ready to get to work, Terry?
I am, let's do it.
Let's go. So here in Salt Lake City, our winters vary quite a bit. We can have winters that are very cold and then also more mild winters.
Define cold.
We can have times where we dip below zero at night and have highs through the week in the teens and 20s. And other winters we could see barely freezing temperatures at night and most of the days being 40 degrees.
So let's talk about the snow. 2 to 4 inches, what would typically happen then?
We grab a snow shovel, we shovel it off the sidewalks and then put some salt down if the temperature is going to be cold enough.
So it's all hands on deck?
Yes, sir.
So what about in preparation for the cold weather season? What would you and your staff be doing?
So the first things we do in regards to sidewalks, we make sure that we stock up on salt ahead of time, make sure our spreaders are good and we've got shovels. Beyond that, at this property, and most others, it's a matter of winterizing, which is just getting rid of any water that's above ground, sprinklers, swamp coolers, and even the pool.
In prepping the pool for winter, what are your options?
Well, that's the first thing you have to do, decide, do you want to just cover it and shut it down, or do you want to keep it running so that it looks nice? Well, why don't we take a minute and go inside? We can look at the pool equipment we have here, and I can go over a bit of what you have to do for winterizing and whether you're keeping it open or shutting it down.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go. After you, sir. So Terry, here at Monaco, we have a fairly basic setup of a simple sand filter. We do have a large heater, as well as our dosing pumps for chlorine and pH, which makes our lives a little easier. So in the winter, if we wanted to just shut this down, the things that we would really need to do is to look at all of the pipes that are above ground, because anything above ground, we need to open up and drain the water out. If we chose to keep the thing up and running, we'd probably run the heater as well as the pool heater to keep the water about 40 degrees so we don't get into any trouble. So Terry, why don't we go over to the shop and have a look at the materials that we need to keep up for the winter.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go. So here at Monaco in our shop, it's really important as you lead into winter to make sure you have the proper materials to make the repairs we need. That is incredibly important now as we've been seeing signs of supply chain issues in getting materials due to COVID. So even now, we've already started to bring in the parts that we need, whether it be thermopiles for our gas fireplaces, thermocouples and gas valves for either our millivolt heaters or our 24 volt furnaces as well.
How COVID-19 is affecting the way he approaches it, right? There may be interruptions in the supply of materials. So he's got to think, well, I may have to stock up a little earlier than I otherwise would, or I may have to stock up more than I otherwise would because I'm worried about supply interruption. So let's talk about all of the supplies that you're going to need as winter approaches. So we talk about the heating parts here. What else are you going to need to stock up on prior to the cold weather?
So we've stocked up, we've made sure we had our shovels, but we've also ordered in, pallets of salt ahead of time. That way we have it for whenever the storms come. Here in Utah, storms can come in October and they can not come until December or January.
It's been fairly difficult acquiring parts these days. The salt in particular, there have been times I've been with properties, they ran out and it becomes an issue because it's a lot more work to have to go through and to try to shovel and scrape, whereas it's a lot easier just to throw salt down and keep it safe for the tenants.
So here in Utah, a unique thing that we have being an arid climate is we do use swamp coolers to cool the apartments during the summer. And those require their own type of winterizing. Why don't we take a minute and I'll show you how it's done.
I'm excited to learn.
So why don't we grab a cover for one of the swamp coolers? Why don't you reach in there, Terry? There's a big stack of them.
All right, just one?
Just one. So Terry, here we have one of our swamp coolers. If you're not familiar with these, they're really quite simple. All they do is pump water up and through this cardboard media, and there's a fan that draws air through it and it cools down the air. And one of the things we need to do is make sure the water's shut off, which we already have, and we just need to drain this pan. I got a pair of channel locks for you. Right down here, you can see a little plug and there's a little nut underneath and it'll come right out. So the last thing we need to do is put a cover on it to protect the tenant from the winds from outside, since this is quite open to the apartment.
All right, should be good for the winter.
Now you've only got about 150 to go, and let me know when you're done.
We better get back to work.
All right.
Supplemental heat, it's the emergency backup. I mean, hopefully the heat in the apartment never goes out in the first place, but if it does, that's a way that the residents can stay warm.
If we remove this log, you can see the burner where the flame comes out. And if we pull this cover down below, there's the millivolt valve we looked at in the shop, and there's that thermopile. So the first thing we need to do, we need to clean it up.
Yeah.
So why don't we grab that vacuum and get this all cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead and make a couple of replacements, and we're gonna start with this thermopile, which is the one I showed you. Why don't you grab the screwdriver there and undo these two screws and take it right on out.
It's the catastrophes you're trying to avoid, right? You can prep, and you hope all of that work that you're doing is to stop the emergencies from happening.
So let's go ahead and get this lit. We're gonna turn the valve to pilot, and push the button, and light the flame. Well done, Terry, getting that all up and running. Now it's ready to keep the tenants warm in the cold winter days.
Well, happy to help them with their supplemental heat.
Well, thank you.
Oh, Matthew, it's time for a little break. We get a little break during the day, don't we?
Absolutely.
Uh-oh, he's gonna lift it.
All right, Terry, playtime's over. We got a lot of work to get done.
Matthew, this is called resident satisfaction. So you've got to dedicate a little bit of time to the residents out here.
True, but the residents like heat more.
That is true. All right.
Matthew works his butt off for this property, and it has exceeded expectations 100%. And he just brings a really good positive energy to the team that's necessary in that kind of a field.
He's a great guy, really seems to care about the place. He's the kind of supervisor that you want. Matthew, there are some properties that are simply more difficult to manage due to the variety of tasks that need to be done. Obviously, inclement weather is one of those elements that make your team's job a little more difficult. Thank you for sharing your insights today on everything that you do to help keep your residents comfortable during the winter season.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
And on behalf of the industry, I have a few that want to recognize you. So first, Cecilia with Grace Hill.
Matthew, great stuff, great work that you've been doing. And on behalf of Grace Hill, we would like to acknowledge that great hard work and give you a check to continue your education.
Wonderful, thank
So
you. It's very important to me. I value it over my career education. It's something that I encourage for all my employees. So having the opportunity to continue my education, I'm very grateful for.
And then we have Michael with HD Supply who would like to recognize you as well.
Nice to meet you. On behalf of HD Supply, we'd like to thank you for your dedication and your role in this community, and we would like to present you with a toolbox.
Wow, thank you.
Matthew deserves it. Again, I'm going to say that over and over and over again because he seriously works so hard. Obviously, it was kind of surprising to him because he didn't see it coming, and he was like, oh, that's so cool, thank you. Like, it just makes it more worth it, I think, every day to come to work and to make such good progress and then have it recognized.
What a great day. As most of us are starting to think about winter vacations and ski trips, our on-site teams are busy prepping for the cold and snow and ice of winter. To all of our on-site teams, thanks for keeping us warm and our footing on solid ground. Join me next time as we get back to work. Salt Lake City has Salt Lake City has a culture deeply rooted in.
Hi Terry, I'm Rachel.
Nice to meet you, Rachel.
I messed up.
So you don't even need to say his name yet because technically he hasn't introduced himself.
Hi Terry. Oh my gosh.
Is he gonna go?
Don't actually do it, Terry!